To me, a car is a beautiful thing, and it attracts my attention. It evokes in me a response, I think, very much like you would have looking at a beautiful statue or painting. This garage is 8,000 square feet. I built it in 2007 and have really enjoyed it. It was made specifically for this. Here is a Model T Ford. It's one of the first automobiles that were successfully made and sold in the United States, and it is from 1921. It was originally probably a touring car, and at some time in its past has been turned into a speedster. It's just a tremendous amount of fun to crank this up and to drive it around. It drives very differently than a regular car. It's got a different type of transmission, and it's a bit of an art to get it to drive properly. This is a Rolls-Royce, a 1926 Rolls-Royce, and it was for a well-off family. The passenger compartment is in the back. It's enclosed. The front part of it is for the chauffeur, and it's opened. It kind of smokes up the place when we crank it up, but it's still fun to drive. Steam engine. The red one here is a Packard, a 1931 Packard. This was a very fine car back in that era. Movie stars and magnets had them, and it's a great car. It drives perfectly well, and I've had it in several parades. I've taken the mayor a couple of times for the Turkey Day Classic, and took the Speaker of the House also on a parade. The next car is the one that we're going to have at the art show, and it's a 1957 Jaguar XK140, and it's called a fixed head coupe. Most of them were convertibles, but this one had a top made for it, and it's of course much better in the rain or in inclement weather. I love the shape of it. The shape of it is just wonderful. I think of paintings by the artist Rubens when I look at this car and see the curves in it and the the beauty, the flowing beauty of it. It runs very well. It's a really cool car. The other beige car is a 1931 Chrysler. It's called a convertible coupe. It has a rumble seat. And so this is where you could put younger people, because they have to climb up in it to get in the seat, and it's a bit of a windy ride, but it's fun, and I've taken my grandkids for rides in it, and they like it. The man who did this was the 6th Chrysler of this type that he did, and it is one of the best restorations I've ever had, and I've had it for years and love it. It's a great car, very reliable. The last year of Model Ts was 1927, so this was the last year, and it was pretty well dated by that time. The other companies, Chrysler and Chevrolet, really were way ahead of Ford at that time. But then Ford came out with the Model A in 1928, and they regained some of their position. This You know, a tremendous amount of artistic talent goes into the design of an automobile. Just looking at this Porsche back here, this 1958 Porsche, it was designed by Ferdinand Porsche, and he designed the Volkswagen in Germany. And then later, after the war, they began making a sports car, and they use many of the same design elements and mechanical elements in this sports car as they did in the Volkswagen. It has a little 1600 cc engine in it. It's not really powerful, but it handles very, very well, and that is the main thing about it. This Rapid Blue automobile is a 2020 Corvette, and it's the new Corvette with the mid-engine. If you'll come around, you'll see the configuration of it has changed so that it's smaller in the front and larger in the middle, and this is where the engine is. You can see the engine right down in there. It's a V8 engine with 600 horsepower, and his is a Stingray, which is what it's called, a Corvette Stingray. And it's a very, very good car. I really like it a lot. Now, I showed you the 27 Ford earlier. This is the 1934. It's a much better car. It's got a V8 engine in it. This is the car when Bonnie and Clyde were in their heyday. Clyde Barrow wrote a letter to Henry Ford saying that whenever he got ready to steal another car, he always looked for a 1934 Ford. Porsche, it's a special car. It's a 2011 Porsche Speedster, and they only made 365 of them, and only 100 of them made it to the United States, and this is one of them. So it's a collector item, and I hope that it will go up in value, but it's fun to drive as it is. I was 14 years old. This car came out, and I was so amazed with it, with the beauty. I couldn't believe that they could make a car so beautiful. I don't know why it's taken me so long to get one, but I'm very happy that I have the privilege to own one. You know, another element of the automobile is what it sounds like when it's running, or when you're driving it, or when it passes by you. And all of these cars have their own special sound. The Corvette is, as soon as you start it up, you hear this roar that makes you think of raw power and speed. The Jaguar, when you crank it up, it's got a different sound. It sounds more sophisticated in the way it comes across. And then when you go through the gears and you hit the revs and you get the car up where the revolutions of the engine are such that it's screaming, then you're doing something that is just thrilling. The thing about a car that intrigues me is just the impact that it has initially when you look at it and you say, oh, it's like a gestalt to see the whole thing all together and the picture that it presents. And then, you become more interested in the beauty of the interior and the smoothness of the ride and the handling of the car. All of these factors go in to make a car desirable. I drive them all routinely. Every one of these is driven. people see our cars going around there frequently, and they kind of know who we are. Some of the dogs even know who we are. That's part of what makes these beautiful and interesting to me, is the element of their beauty, the artistic beauty of them.